Thakur ki jai. ISKCON founder Charger Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakund Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Mathura Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Jagannath Swami ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai. Samabeta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bo. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. God Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Swami Tinamini Namaste Krishna Padaya Prabhupada Siddhartmani Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Jati Tinamini Narayana Namaste Chanaron Chevam Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tutujayam Gudirayat Nashta Prayeshwa Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavatu Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Good morning, dear devotees. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So this morning we have Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 29. All right, so we chant, and then you can chant as you feel so inclined. Tat karma divyam ivayan nishini sayanam Davagnina suchivane paridahyamani Onne shati vrajam ato vasitantakalam Netre pidapya sabalo nadigam yavirya Tatskam divyam ivayan nishinishayanam Dava nigna sutivane paridahyamani Unne shati vrajam ato vasitantakalam Nete pidapya sabalo nadikam yavirya Tatkama divyam vivayan nishinisayanam Davagnida Shuchivane Padrida Hyamani One Shati Vrajam Ato Vasitantakalam Netre Pipadya Savalo Nadikam Yavirya. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Karma divyam ivayannisine sayanam Davagnina suchivane parida dahyamane Unneshyati vrajamato vasitantakalam Netre pidapya sabalo nadhigamya virya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else? Okay.
Tatkarmadebam ivhayan nihishayanam Davagni suchibane paridhayannamane Unne sati bhrajam ato bhasitanta kalam Nette piha apya sabalo nandi gamyo virya. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. tat karma divyamiva yanishi nishayanam Davagnena suchivana paridayamane unasyati rajam ato vasitam takalam netra pidapya savalo nadigamya virya.
Hare Krishna. All right, so we'll do word for word. Can you go up a little bit, please? Hare Krishna. Tat, that, karma, activity, divyam, superhuman, eva, like, yat, which, nishi, at night, nishayanam, sleeping carefreely, dhava agnina, by the glare of the forest fire, shuchivane, in the dry forest, haridahyamane, being set ablaze, Uneshyati would deliver. Rajam, all the inhabitants of Raj. Ata, hence. Avasita, surely. Antakalam, the last moments of life. Last moments of life. Netre, on the eyes. Pidhapya, by simply closing. Sabala, along with Baladev. Anadigamya, unfathomable. Virya, prowess. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. On the very night of the day of the chastisement of the Kaliya snake, when the inhabitants of Rajabhumi were sleeping carefreely, there was a forest fire ablaze due to dry leaves, and it appeared that all the inhabitants were sure to meet their death. But the Lord, along with Balaram, saved them simply by closing his eyes. Such are the superhuman activities of the Lord. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Although in this verse the Lord's activity has been described as superhuman, it should be noted that the Lord's activities are always superhuman, and that distinguishes him from the ordinary living being. Uprooting a gigantic banyan or arjuna tree and extinguishing a blazing forest fire simply by closing one's eyes are certainly impossible by any kind of human endeavor. But not only are these activities amazing to hear, but in fact all other activities of the Lord, whatever he may do, are all superhuman, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 9. Whoever knows the superhuman activities of the Lord due to their very transcendental nature becomes eligible to enter the kingdom of Krishna. And as such, after quitting this present material body, the knower of the transcendental activities of the Lord goes back home, back to Godhead. Oma Gnati Virandasya, Gyana Gyana Shalakaya, Chakshu Omalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Vayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru, Shri Yuta Padakamalam, Shri Guru Vaisnavam Scha. Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam. Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Scha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagat Pate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanusute Devi Paramami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhescha Kripa Sundibhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Peshnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachayani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschathyadi Shatayani. Namo Mahabharanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Gunati Namaha Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himadhyadi Vacha Vishndaraya Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. The translation again. On the very night of the day of the chastisement of the Kaliya snake, when the inhabitants of Rajbhumi were sleeping carefreely, there was a forest fire ablaze due to dry leaves, and it appeared that all the inhabitants were sure to meet their death. But the Lord, along with Balaram, saved them simply by closing his eyes. Such are the superhuman activities of the Lord. Hare Krishna. The activities of the Lord are very, very much at that superhuman level. Just by reading this particular translation here in second canto Srimad Bhagavatam, the Kaliya snake had tried to kill Krishna and failed miserably. In fact, towards the end of that pastime, Kaliya's life was on the line. He himself almost got killed. Had it not been for the fact that his wives were there and pleaded on his behalf, he probably would have died. Krishna does not play when it comes to devotees, his devotees being harmed in any way. He's always there to protect his devotees. He's very affectionate to his devotees. And so when this situation happened with the Kaliya snake, finally, Kaliya surrendered to Krishna. He had to hear from his wives the situation that he was in. Krishna, externally, it seemed that he was dancing. But those who were there also saw that even though he was hopping from one foot of the snake to the next, the snake was actually dying, which meant that the very nimble and wonderful musical steps that Krishna was taking with the dancing, by the way, the demigods also came to supply more music. This was actually Kaliya's life being taken away. So that alone is superhuman. Who else can dance on a snake's head? They probably get bitten and they would just lose their lives. But dance on the snake's head, and at the same time, the dance step seems like blows to the head of the snake. And actually, he's vomiting blood and everything, and he's just getting weaker and weaker and weaker. That in of itself is superhuman activity. And then when that happened, Krishna came back. First, the residents of Rajbhumi thought that because he jumped into the river with Jamuna that he would die because of all that poison that had killed other poison from the snake that had killed all other living entities that even came close to that area. Yet the Lord chastised, almost killed Kaliya, but it wound up being the chastisement because he was saved by his wife, who prayed to the Lord. And in the same evening, during the daytime this happened, in the evening, everybody is happy that Krishna is back, Krishna is safe, Krishna actually has done another superhuman thing. And then they're sleeping, and next thing they know, there's a huge forest fire, and it's such that they know from human calculations that they don't stand a chance, that they would be, this is the residents of Vrindavan, they would be swallowed up by this fire and they will lose their lives. But again, Krishna and Balaram to the rescue. Just by closing Krishna's eyes, him closing his eyes, then the fire was the situation that was quite dire and serious was mitigated, was stopped. Now, how many people can just close their eyes and fire would just go out? It's not possible by human beings. Hmm? Sometimes we have, forest fires, and then there are airplanes, and they try to just go up, and 5 people are on the ground, and the airplanes are in the air, and even that, so much gets destroyed before anything gets brought under control. And usually, when there are rains, then things get under a little bit better control. But the Lord can close his eyes and deal with the matter so easily. So the Lord's activities are all superhuman. And they are definitely amazing to hear, as Prabhupada says in the purport. Everything he will do is amazing. And it's confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, which is called Transcendental Knowledge. And text 9, Srila Prabhupada quotes it quite a bit. Janma karma chame divyam, evam yovati tatpata. Tyaktvadeham puna janma, neti mameti. So Arjuna. Sometimes we hear his lectures, Srila Prabhupada would quote, Janma karma chame vidyam, yo janati tatpata. So I would assume, I don't know my Sanskrit, but I assume it says yo janati tatpata, and evam yovati tatpata, they mean the same thing. Taktaveham puna janmaneti mameti. So Arjuna. The translation is, one who knows the transcendental nature, which means the superhuman nature of the appearance and activities, Krishna is saying, does not, upon leaving the body, take birth again in this material world, but goes to my eternal abode, attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So once we understand the transcendental nature of how Krishna appears, and the activities that he does when he is here in the material world, one who understands that they are not at the material level, but at the transcendental level, that person goes back home. Because connected with that belief that the activities, appearance and activities are transcendental, connected with that is total surrender. Because a person will get amazed, just like this particular pastime we heard involving Kalia and then the forest fire. It is amazing. And so when a person hears that, they say, I'll just take to Krishna. He is superhuman. Who else would I go to? I'll take to Krishna. I'll take everything that he says, and I'll do. Therefore, that's full surrender to Krishna. And so we begin to, we're hearing. Does that mean we are fully surrendered? Does that mean we really believe the understanding, that should be there with us, that the nature of Krishna's activities are transcendental? Well, later on, Srila Prabhupada breaks it down, the things that we need to do and to be about in order to be in that category of a person who understands the transcendental nature of Krishna's appearance and Krishna's activities. And that will be the subject of discussion today by the help of my Guru and Srila Prabhupada and the Parampara. So in this part here, the purport for Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, text 9, Srila Prabhupada says, the Lord's descent from his transcendental abode, that's already explained in the 6th verse of the same chapter. That is chapter 4, text 6. Chapter 4, text 9 says that one who believes this, that the appearance and activities of Krishna are at the transcendental level, that person will go back to Godhead. Because they will sell their heart, they will sell their soul to Krishna. And that is definitely the way, what to do to go back. Now, Srila Prabhupada says, a person getting liberated like that, with that kind of understanding, getting liberated from material bondage, is not at all easy. So then we begin to think, but we've been told to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Chanting the mantra is easy to do, but does everybody chant the mantra? The overwhelming majority of people in this world don't. Hmm? And that aside, there are impersonalists and yogis who go through all kinds of attempts. And the aim is to merge into the effulgence, the impersonal effulgence of the Lord. They are impersonalists themselves. And then the yogis trying to meditate to see the Lord in the heart. And apart from other mystic cities that they like to acquire so they can do things that are at a level that defies gravity. Let's put it that way. And those people can get liberation, but so after so many births, here Prabhupada says. Even going into this impersonal Brahmajyoti of the Lord, that is only partial. There's always the risk of returning to this material world. But when it comes to devotees, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of a body and activities of the Lord, can go back to Godhead after quitting this body and not run the risk of returning to the material world. It's also confirmed in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that when one attains this spiritual world, they don't come back to the material world. Unless, of course, Krishna actually requests, like in the case of Srila Prabhupada, to come to the material world for a particular purpose. Those are Nitya Siddhas. They are always liberated. They're not going to be liberated by coming here and trying to get liberated like most of us who are conditioned souls are doing. They are already liberated. And that, out of love for Krishna, when he requests those kind of things, yeah, they will do it. There are times that, that actually it's quite well known when the Lord came, the Lord's gopis came with him. When he came as Lord Chaitanya, a good many of them took male bodies and came with them. But they never fall down. They're coming to be part of Krishna's pastimes and then go back. So the Lord, in the Brahma Samhita, Srila Prabhupada indicates that the Lord has many forms and incarnations. He's one, but Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Anantarupam. Anantarupam. Many forms. But still, they are the same one Supreme Personality of God who expands like that. And this is one of the things for liberation. We have to understand this fact. We have to be convinced about it. Now, many empiric philosophers don't really believe this, but it is in the Upanishads. Eko Devo Nitya Lilanurakto Bhakta Vyapi Hidyantatma. It means the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that one Supreme Personality of Godhead is engaged eternally in many transcendental forms in relationship with his unalloyed devotees. So based on the pastimes that the Lord goes through by his own will with the unalloyed devotees of the Lord, the pure devotees of the Lord, he actually appears in a particular transcendental form. Just like Prahlad Maharaj, when he was being harassed by his father Hiranyakashipu, Krishna appeared in the Sringadev form, half man, half lion, in order to go through all of the conditions that Lord Brahma bestowed on Hiranyakashipu, and at the same time, protect his devotee. So based on what the relationship is or the pastime that the Lord is going to perform with his devotees, based on that, he appears in a particular form. But he is the one same Supreme Lord. So this is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita by the Lord. So anyone who accepts this truth on the strength of what the Vedas says and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who does not deal with philosophical speculations, person who doesn't deal with that, they attain the highest perfectional stage of liberation, even past going to merge with the Brahmajyoti, but going back to Godhead. So Srila Prabhupada says the conclusion is that simply by accepting this truth on faith, and here's where it comes to us, on faith, one can without a doubt attain liberation. So our first is we have to accept this, we have to believe it. Believe that the Lord's appearance, the Lord's activities are transcendental. It's easy to see they are superhuman, but we should go beyond that and say they are transcendental, the activities. And when we accept that, it is the truth, we accept and believe that, then we're going to get the highest perfectional stage of liberation, as Srila Prabhupada says. So anyone who understands Lord Krishna to be the supreme, Ete Chamsa Kalapumsam, Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and he's the supreme truth, and he's the absolute truth, and all his activities are transcendental. Anyone who understands that, or says that with conviction, you are the same supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead, with conviction, with firm belief, that person gets liberated. Instantly liberated, Srila Prabhupada says. And then his entrance into the transcendental association of the Lord is guaranteed. So the belief is very important. So one can attain the perfect stage of liberation from birth and death. This is liberation means we don't come back to this earth again or any other material planet to go through birth and death. By knowing the Lord as the supreme personality of Godhead. And there's no other way to achieve this perfection. So what we need to do is to cultivate Krishna consciousness with faith and knowledge. Believe what the acharyas say about Krishna. Firm belief. Firm belief, very, very, very important. And know more and more and more, get to know more and try to live it, what we know. And in that way, we'll attain perfection. So Srila Prabhupada said in the purport, this first purport of this Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, text 9, he says that the Lord comes from his transcendental abode. That's explained in the 6th verse. So Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, this time text 6, it says, Ajopi san abhyayatma bhutanam ishwaro pisam. Prakritim swa adhistaya sambhavami atma mayaya. So here is Krishna speaking. Although I'm unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, by my internal energy, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Now, there's a lot that's packed into this one statement. Although I am unborn, Anadi Adi Govinda. He has no beginning, but he's the beginning of everyone. He is unborn, but still he appears in every millennium. And he also appears in his transcendental form, and his body never deteriorates. So there's so much packed in here that Krishna says about himself. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is in a unique transcendental position. So Krishna describes how peculiar his birth is. It is transcendental. It's not like the material type that we're used to. One, he may appear like an ordinary person, and that's why the demons think that he is an ordinary person. He may choose to appear like that, or in his universal form if he wants, like Arjuna requested. But in all the appearance, he remembers everything about his past births. But a common man cannot remember what he has done. Even a few hours back, he cannot remember. The Lord remembers everything of his own past births, and he remembers ours too. Everything, nothing escapes the Lord. Hmm? So a common man cannot do that. So again, his activity level and his knowledge level are not human. They are superhuman. Hmm? You ask somebody what they did at the same time 2 days ago, it'll be very difficult for them to answer that question. They have to really try hard to remember what he or she was doing at the time. And yet some people say, oh, we are God and so on. So they are bogus people. And of course, that's already covered in the Shastra. If you are an incarnation of a Supreme Personality of Godhead, the scripture will say that. Most of the time before even you come, the scripture will proclaim that. Like we know that there's Kalki Avatar that's going to come around 427,000 years from now. Where he is born, who his parents are, they're all stated in the Shastra. That time hasn't come yet. Hundreds of thousands of years away. It's already been said that. So the Lord says that he appears in his own body. That's one thing we need to understand too. He does not change body. The common living entity, tata dehantara prapti, we go from one body to another body. Because there are 8,400,000 types of bodies that's there. So one body in this birth, the next body will be a different one in the next birth. So this material world, living entity is transmigrating from one body to another. But the Lord does not do so, even though he also appears. Whenever he appears, he does so in his original body, the same original body through his internal potency. We are from the marginal potency, but he appears in his internal potency. Krishna appears in the material world in his original form, eternal form, with two hands, two legs, and holding a flute. He appears exactly in his eternal body, uncontaminated by this material world. So his body is transcendental and he's the Lord of the universe, but it still appears that he takes his birth like an ordinary living entity. When we hear about the Lord's birth, you may hear parts of it, fragments of it, that show that it is superhuman. For example, when he appeared to Devaki, there was no labor for Devaki. He just appeared outside, four-handed. Smallish, but four-handed. And that was the Lord's own plan to come like that. So that all the other babies that were born regularly, they were gone. The first 6 babies, Vasudeva and Devaki. And then as the 8th child, he appeared in the four-handed form. That was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But the body, the interesting thing is the body does not deteriorate, not of Krishna, like a material body. Not his. But still, Krishna appears to grow from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood to youth. Why? Because it's all tied to his pastime. Nanda and Yashoda are playing the role of parents. So in order for Krishna to allow them to show their love to him, he has to be a child. And he do childhood things that are very, 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 very fascinating. And it appears like it's material, but it's all on the spiritual level. It may look like, but again, that makes us get excited about connecting with Krishna. As Satyabhata Muni says that I just want Krishna's pastimes. I don't want to, as a child, and I don't want to hear anything else. It's good enough for me. So Krishna goes from childhood to boyhood and boyhood to youth And then it becomes interesting how we know how transcendental his body is, because he never goes beyond youth, again, by his own plans. Hmm? Kurukshetra time, he had grandchildren in Dwarka, not just children, he had grandchildren. So he had sufficient, by material calculations, he had aged then, but he still looked like a 20-year-old man, young man. Hmm? And the pictures of Krishna we've seen are all Krishna in the young, like that. His body and his intelligence, they never deteriorate. And these are all things that we need to understand. Then we get liberation. We have to understand this about Krishna. So in spite of his being in the material world, he's the same unborn, eternal form of bliss and knowledge. The transcendental body doesn't change. The intelligence doesn't change. He has it fully. So that is the one thing we need to understand. One of the things we need to believe. Also, we have to understand that the Lord is conscious of all his previous appearances and disappearances. A common living entity forgets everything about this past body. It gets another body, we don't remember what happened earlier. So these are all important points about the Lord. He never looks old unless he wants to do a pastime where actually looking old is actually part of the plan of the pastime. And there's one pastime like that I will tell it at this time. The gopis in Vrindavan, they would cross the Jamuna. They had in that particular day so much foodstuffs in large baskets, and they were carrying them. And they wanted to cross the Jamuna to the other side. And there are boats that you just basically pay, in a manner of speaking, pay, get a ticket. Not that they actually give you a physical ticket, but you pay, then you get on, and then the boatsman would row it across the Jamuna to where you want to go. So the gopis, on that one day, they had all of this activity, and their baskets were quite heavy. They wanted to cross. All the boats were gone except one. And then there was one man, old looking man, that had this one boat. So Lalita went to do a negotiation with them. Said, okay, we need to cross. And then the boatsman talked with with Lalita. They agreed on price. And Lalita came back and said, okay, it's all been agreed upon. You can get on the boat now. So they all got on the boat. And the things that they had weighed the boat so much down that the top of the boat was barely across or over the Jamuna River. So it was quite a weight. And then the old man started rowing slowly, 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 and it's going. And the gopis, we were patient because this is the last boat. Without him, they can't even cross at all. So they put up with it. He's an old man after all. And he's rowing and he's rowing. He gets to the middle of the Jamuna and then he tells the gopis, I'm hungry. Can you give me some food to eat? The gopis looked at each other and said, all right, we have food stuff. Eat as much as you can, as much as you like. So this old man started eating and he ate 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 quite a bit. Now, after a while, gopis are looking at each other and said, the old man can eat like that. But at that time, he had filled his body so much, he said, all right, thank you for giving me now food. Now I am satisfied, I'm filled, and now I would like to take a nap. And the gopi said, but you're the one that's rowing us across the Jamuna. I'd like to take a nap. He didn't answer them. He just laid back and he went to sleep. And so the boat was in the middle of the Jamuna, and the gopis are all in there with what's left of their food stuff. And now this old man, is sleeping. And the boat is going every which way, every direction, but across because, It was not being guided properly. Then they saw a small bag belonging to the old man. And so the gopi said, well, let's look in the bag and see what's in there. After all, he's sleeping. He wouldn't know. So they looked in the bag, pulled out some things. And then what came out? The flute. And they immediately realized that that was Krishna's flute. They said, oh, so the old man is Krishna. He's just playing a trick on us. So they said, okay, well, if we are with Krishna, then it doesn't matter which direction the boat goes. We like to be with Krishna anyway. So that's the end of the pastime. But the point about this pastime is Krishna made himself look old just to trick the gopis. But his body is transcendental, and at all times, he is there. He appears. Srila Prabhupada gives the analogy of the sun. Sometimes in daytime, we say the sun is there. We can see the sun. At nighttime, we say the sun is disappeared. So the appearance and disappearance, it does not mean that the sun has stopped shining. It's just that in a different area, it's still shining. In that area that it is, they will say that's daytime. And if it comes back to where we are, like it will soon, then it is daytime for us. So this is like that. Krishna appears and disappears. His birth and his leaving appears, and that's why we use the word that's appropriate, appearance and disappearance. There's no death for Krishna. The pastimes continue somewhere else. Even in the material world, of course, in the spiritual world, it's constantly there. In the material world, from one universe to another universe, things are happening. Different pastimes are there. And when Krishna wraps up, then he's gone. And it's like a disappearance, but there is no death. He's gone. Even the pastime that involved the hunter, Jara, and it looked like Krishna left the body. People say, oh, these people who are unbelievers, oh, Krishna can die. God was dead at that time. God never dies. This is the Prabhupada has explained to us. And so the appearance and also the pastimes of Krishna are all at the transcendental level. The body does not deteriorate. He actually looks like a young man. It doesn't matter how many years. He's ageless, basically. He's ageless. His intelligence doesn't deteriorate. Like when we get older, some things we don't remember. Never for Krishna. And therefore, he is the Supreme Lord. And if we surrender to him and we believe this, that's all we said in the same Papa says to do. We have to believe this. Full faith in that means we have the opportunity to go back to Godhead. Now, a person that believes in an authority will also respect the statements from the authority. So Lord Chaitanya has come and said in Kali Yuga, we chant the holy names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So for us, there's one more thing. Apart from the belief, we also have to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead from our hearts, devotional service. It is critical that every devotee get involved in devotional service. Two main aspects of devotional service: hearing about the pastimes of the Lord and chanting the holy name, as Lord Chaitanya has directed us to do. Now, then we do some sort of service. It's very important that when opportunities come for service in the temple, we jump at that opportunity, because that is showing the Lord that we not only believe in him, but we want to serve him out of love for us, from us to him. So we should see devotional service as an opportunity to show our love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because it is, in fact, that's exactly what it is. Our show of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead comes from serving him. Therefore, we always have to do that and serve devotees. And the other point that's important is we should know who devotees are. They are special agents of the Lord. Why do we call devotees agents? Because they are the ones that spread Krishna consciousness. So that activity for this world is a very important activity. Therefore, every single devotee has to be respected by us because of the nature of the service that they're doing. The real humanitarian service for the world is to preach about Krishna. And we do it in different ways. Even for those who don't believe in Krishna, if we give them a snack that is prashadam, we have in fact injected Krishna consciousness into their lives. And at some point, they will become Krishna conscious. That part of it, that's not on us. That the Lord himself decides when. But anyone who takes prashadam. So when the Rath Yatra and so many non-devotees come in the prashadam time, it says free vegetarian feast. So then they take some, but actually every one of them has now had the seed of Krishna injected in that personality, and it will fructify in the heart. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. So we take advantage of that and distribute Krishna consciousness in book form to those who want to read, tell those who want to hear, and those who don't want to, at least give them a snack or food stuff. That is the Lord's mercy, prashadam. And that way we can distribute. And since all devotees do that, we have to give the highest level of respect to all devotees, just like we do our gurus. We should serve them like we serve our gurus. Same mentality. Same mentality. The activities may be a little different, but the mentality should be, this is an important personality. A devotee is an important personality in that he's helping Lord Chaitanya's movement, spreading Krishna consciousness, spreading the mercy of the Lord. And so believe in this, that activities of Krishna are superhuman. We believe it from all our hearts and also serve. We have the great opportunity to go back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you for allowing me to do this service. Now you can unmute yourself, and then we can have some Krishna Katha, realizations, questions, and so on. Hare Krishna. So anybody?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Accept my humble obeisances of God, Srila Prabhupada.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
In the beginning, you were talking about surrender. I never used to understand that. I understand it a little bit now in the context of pure devotees and how they have surrendered. And just like you were saying, we are not surrendered. How should we progress? Like, what does surrender look like for me? What should, where should I start? How should I progress?
Very important question, Martin. The surrender process starts with mental surrender, the belief of who God is. And this is the part of this. Janma karma chamedivyam, even yuvati tatvata. So that activities and the appearance of Krishna are at the transcendental level. We should accept that statement, even if we don't know what it means, because we left the material, the spiritual world a long time ago. We can't really quite figure it out, but we know that activities that are superhuman, we can easily see that. Nobody closes their eyes and a fire goes out. I mean, clearly, there's nothing much to think about that. So his activities are superhuman. Now, the part of having to surrender starts with a prayer, releasing our mind and heart to Krishna. See, Papa put it so nicely in another lecture. Krishna, I'm all yours. Use me as you like. And then we say, but we make decisions every day. Well, that's not difficult. Please have the decisions be decisions made by you. So it should come from you through me, and then the activity would go on. In other words, I give my mind to you. That's it. Manasa deho give. My mind, my house, my whole family, I give to you. When we pray like that constantly, we will in fact be in that same consciousness. It's just a matter of doing. The mind is like that. The person that just does something over and over and over again, it becomes habit. And then they begin to believe it. So much so that even the demons sometimes spread a lie. And they repeat the lie so many times, and after a while, people begin to believe that it's true, when in fact it's a lie. So the mind is conditioned that once you repeat something over and over and over again, they will in fact live based on that statement, and it becomes a belief. So why not even use it in Krishna consciousness? So pray that I surrender to you, my mind, my house. I mean, what happens then when our mind is surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Then everything that's happening, if it looks positive, even if we're talking material things now, it looks positive, good. We thank the Lord. By your mercy, this has happened. When things are going the opposite way from what we expect, or what we call now a reversal, we would also believe that it's the Lord that is actually behind this happening. And I'll tell you a story that happened just last week. It turned out that in the Harrisburg temple, some renovation was being done in the kitchen. And one of the renovations was the plumbing for the kitchen sink. So that had been done to a point, and we called another person to come finish it because there were some things that the person who started didn't quite do to our satisfaction. And then there was also talk that, well, yeah, it's a commercial sink, but we could also put a garbage disposal there because they're commercial garbage disposal. So, all right, we're going to go buy a garbage disposal. Temple card was given to me, so I got the service of going to get it. The place that I get it closes, I have to get it, closes at 5 o'clock. 4:30, and I'm only 11 minutes away, according to Google, from this place. 4:30, I leave. And you know what happened? I never got there. I never got there. What really happened? Well, I started going there, and according to this is Google now, I'm looking at my cell phone. I got to a place, I couldn't find it. So I had to pull to a gas station, and I'm praying, I'm doing the service for the temple now. This is the devotion service. I can't find the place. So I pulled to a gas station, and this lady is pumping gas, and I called the name of the business. I said, "Do you know where this business is?" He pointed, "It's right there. It's right there." And I saw their truck with the label on it. I said, "Oh, okay, I'm there." All right. So I just get off the gas station, go through one light, make a left turn, and I'm there, right? Yeah, that's what I think. So I showed up there and then went to what looked like the main door. It was about 4:45 then. It was locked. And they closed at 5 o'clock. The door was locked. And I'm going, maybe, and it's a big place, so maybe if I go around to the other side, maybe I'm going to the wrong place. Let's see if the other side where the trucks are parked. So I went around and I couldn't find any entrance place. So I came back and said, all right, this time I will get the van that I was driving, the temple van, also a GPS. So then I pressed that, I put the address in there. I said, now you direct me, where it says the location is, then fine. So then I start driving this van. I stop the cell phone, using the cell phone. And the van says, turn left, turn right, turn this. Almost 5:05. He says, all right, here's the location. I look at it, it was absolutely wrong. so it's misled me. All right, I said, now this guy that is supposed to put the garbage disposal is coming at 6 o'clock, the temple in Harrisburg, and I'm supposed to have this unit to give to him. So finally, I went back on the phone and called them up. I said, where are you guys located? They told me, they said, rather than the guy even answer the question, he says, but you know what time it is? Because of 5 o'clock, unless you are right outside the door, you can't even get in. Now, in the meantime, so I've been there, and he says that, all right. I said, just tell me where you're located. I said, I can't be that far away from you. He said, what address do you have? I said, 2501 State Street. Then he paused a little bit and says, we are not on State Street. Now that's what's in Google now. Google says that. The man tells me it's not. We are on 2058 Hamel Avenue. Now, all of this, you get so confused and say, how does Krishna play a role in all of this? But it was 5 o'clock, and basically, I didn't get a chance. So it was after 5, and the guy had already said, unless you're outside the door, you can't get in. So here I am. I start chanting, get back in the van. I said, okay, I have to let the guy in. He's doing some work at the kitchen, the PVC and all of that. He's going to be working on that. And then we were asking to install this garbage disposal. So I head towards the temple with no garbage disposal. I said, I better not do that. So I went to Lowe's and looked up a garbage disposal area where it is and bought one. By the way, it was less expensive than the one place that I did go. It was less expensive. So I get there, the guy comes and he starts working, and I'm supposed to do another Zoom lecture. So I told him, listen, I'll be downstairs when you need me. You just come up. He's working in the basement. He texts me and says, there's not much room under the sink to put a garbage disposal. Therefore, you have to return the one. You have to return the one that you bought. See what we went through? So basically, my story is I'm just relying on Krishna. And for half an hour, I mean, in 20 minutes, usually Google directions should get you there, by the time I left, by 20:05. But Krishna just played a game with me, got lost, didn't get it, even persisted and got garbage disposal from Lowe's and got in there for this guy to tell me it wouldn't fit at all. It wouldn't fit at all. So we have to return it. And actually, it's an idea to use a garbage disposal, but we have to rethink whether we need one at all. But I just let things happen as they were. I didn't get frustrated, but I was just surprised though. But for no frustration, I said, Christian must be behind this. Christian must be behind this, like that. So this is what we try to think when things happen, when we say that Krishna, my day is yours, you do it as you like. There will be reversals, but there's always a reason behind it. You find out sooner or later. Because I was never, anyway, I don't have to repeat what I already said. Normal circumstances, I should be able to get to the place with Google directions and get in 20 minutes before they close. Yet it was, I no needless to repeat what happened. So it is what it is. Krishna is in control, and we just go on like that. So that's what happened last week for me, Hare Krishna, last Friday.
Yeah, and I think when looking back and seeing that Krishna had a hand in it is, I'm not saying it's easy, but I think the difficulty is in when we have to make choices. Do I accept this service? Do I not accept this service? It's difficult. Sometimes accepting services is not beyond our capacity, but it's an austerity. I'm having to push myself to pick up those services. And at that time, how do you, so of course, when people are demanding that service from you, they'll say it's for Krishna, I'm not asking you, I'm asking you because it is for Krishna. And that is true. And whatever we do, if you ask me to do a service, I do understand that I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for Krishna. You're just a vehicle to ask that of me. But it at those times that it's the difficulty. How do you,
Okay, so very good point. Very good point. We're used to making decisions ourselves. We're used to that. That's where mentally we start. We're used to making decisions ourselves without asking God. We've done that a long time. So when it comes now to switching to everything depends on the decision made by the Lord, and I am just a vehicle, it takes training. The mind has to be trained to accept that. So it won't happen overnight, but it definitely will happen. It's just, like the story that I just told you about me and this garbage disposal thing. I was just surprised. I saw the time go by, but I also kind of said, this is a service, so maybe Krishna doesn't want me to pick it up. So what happened though is we have to be ready to accept that some of the services would require some austerity. That is going to be there. Some of the services require some austerity. In fact, our sannyasis go through austerity all of the time. They don't even let us know about it. And one of the things that's so obvious, but we don't think about it, is Maharaj is coming to this country at this time. What about jet lag? We never think of that. What about jet lag? Do they ever complain of jet lag? No. No. So they jump, and then whatever time it is in that particular place, they start doing the service. The devotees have lined up programs with them. They go to the programs. In the meantime, this body is beating them left like crazy, but they never say anything about it, though. They never do. So they know that with service comes, so that's one example. With service comes austerity. And so in some cases, we just have to be convinced, understand, or realize that some of the services would be easier to fit into our time, and some of the services would demand austerity. And those ones that are inconvenient, and this is where we have to fight the mind. Should we do it? Should we not do it? The answer is yes, we should do it. If we're not going to be able to do it, let Krishna make that decision. Just like what happened to me. You know, I never thought that my van's GPS would send me to the wrong place, but it did. Just so I lost the time. So that those things would happen, but it's not done. It doesn't happen overnight, though, to get to that kind of mentality, that to remember Krishna in all situations and say, "I'm just yours. Use me. You know, take me through this," and then decisions would come. So as you're talking, when I talked to this guy that was telling me that I had to be outside the door to just get in, otherwise, and he was a little irritated, but I had to remain calm. And then finally, he even told me that I was in the wrong address. I said, but I looked back at Google, it was State Street that was there, not Hummel Avenue. But I can't say the guy is wrong because he works there, so he would know. But this time, basically, Google was giving me the wrong address. So these things happen. Do I have control over it? Nope. I'm just going through the motions. So we are actually to think that we are being used like a pawn in all the things that happen in our lives daily. And believe me, I know it's a very simple statement to make, but we don't think that we are pawns in the hands of Krishna. But if we think that way, as Srila Prabhupada says, I am a puppet. Please make me dance. He came to America and he's telling Krishna that he's a puppet and Krishna is a puppeteer. Make me dance, oh Lord, make me dance. When he got in the harbor the first time, in the Boston Harbor, this is the prayer that he said. And this is the founder in charge of International Society of Krishna Consciousness. He's saying he's a puppet. So we definitely better think that we are puppets too. Then the Lord will actually make things happen based on the way he wants. And it becomes quite amazing, actually. The good things and the reversals are all then handled by him. But we have to pray and believe that and train the mind. Krishna is in control. Krishna is in control. Why is this happening? Krishna is in control. We'll just go through it and it will happen and it will end the way he wants it to end. That's the kind of training we have to give the mind. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Glory to Srila Prabhupada. Any other comments or questions?
Krishna's actions are Vedeshu Durlabha Madurlabha Matma Bhakta. Like Brahma Samhita says, even for Vedas, it is not easy for even that is inconceivable to the Vedas too. So that the sloka you are saying, Advaita Vachyutam Aradim Anantarupam. So that's too hard to know. Certain things, Prabhu, we want to do the devotional service. But in this material world, everybody has their own families and everything, So it's doing the service like Prabhupada, he left and he just went. He took the decision he could do it.
Yes.
Is it easy for a person in this material world we are living with surrounding people, the family, or it's not easy that much. Is that right?
It's not easy, but it's not impossible.
And it's not impossible, but I'm not saying. But it's you had to watch your surroundings too. Is it right?
Yeah, but we also have to remember one thing. All of this service that we're doing, all of this reading and all of this chanting is to get us out of this jail.
That's true.
The end result is definitely worth it. The end result is way worth it compared to what we're doing now. And that's the thing that we need to remind ourselves about, that we are getting out of the material world. Yesterday, and I'll say this one point, yesterday in a Bhakti Vriksha program, one Mataji asked me, that's one moderating the program, he asked me about Mother Teresa. And Mother Teresa was a very pious nun. It was a Christian nun who helped so many people in, in dire trouble and, poor people and all that. He just helped so many. And the implication from the question is, but we are not doing half the work that Mother Teresa did to save people, and we're going back to Godhead. And Mother Teresa is not going back to Godhead. She didn't ask it like that, but I know her well, and that was the implication. The implication that she's done so much for this world, especially for people, and she's also preached. And how come we who aren't doing as much as she did are going back to Godhead? And somebody like that, is she also going to be, the question is she also going to be allowed to go back to Godhead? But then I had to remind her, all right, she is in the Christian faith. We started there. So she agreed to that, okay? She has done a lot. For her activities, there's no question. She's done a lot. But she believes in Jesus. Therefore, when she leaves the body, she expects to see Jesus, and that's going to happen. But that does not mean that you're going to the spiritual world. He's going to see Jesus. Then I reminded the Mataji that Jesus had said that he will take those who are faithful to him, he will take them to meet the Father. That's in the Bible. So I said, this is the route that she's going to take. More than likely, she will be in a heavenly planet, and the heavenly planet is the sense of the level of enjoyment. It varies from planet to planet. There are some Brahmaloka people there. There's also a heavenly planet, but they have more abilities than those who are in the Loka, for example. So she could be taken to a higher planet, a higher heavenly planet. But Jesus said, I will take you to my Father. So that's the route that she's going to go. She will see the Father. And I deliberately did not mention the Father as Krishna. I did not. Because Jesus knows which Father he's talking about. It could be Lord Vishnu, it could be Lord Brahma, whatever it is, he's showing to his Father. It's put like that in the Bible, and I'm not going to add more to what's in the Bible. But I reminded her, it's through Jesus that these things would happen. That she will definitely be well cared for when she leaves the body. But it's through that route, though, not through the Hare Krishna route. Hare Krishna. So, any other comments or questions? All right, Didibudis, thank you very much for coming for this class. And it's wonderful. The fewer, the merrier. As they say sometimes, it all works. So we have Krishna Katha. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhya evacha. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Lord Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.